perfect.
Cool, man. Well, this is a song called Valentine off our new record, Unforgettable Ride. And this one I actually originally wrote on the piano, and then we transformed it into the live band version. So, so this is the origins. You were on your way to the big time, pulling me along with your dreams. You were gonna be a big star, taking over me with your eyes. Hey Valentine, let me kiss you one more time. Then I'll let you walk right out of my life. Yeah. 14, I wanted to send you roses, but I was paralyzed in my seat. Hanging over me with smoke and mirrors, spinning all around in the sky. Hey Valentine, let me kiss you one more time. Then I'll let you walk right out of my life again. Hey Valentine, I wanted to send you roses, then I'll let you walk right out of my life again. Valentine. Valentine. Did you ever feel that somebody was made just for you, and you never knew that I would always be waiting for you?
You know, I'm curious right off the bat too, since we're talking about it a little bit, how the casual fan reacts to when they walk into a show of Love Stallion. I know you guys probably have a very devout following. You probably have a very good fan base, but I'm kind of curious as to when somebody walks into the club and they didn't know what they were walking into. what reaction that you typically see and how long it takes you to win them over, because I'm sure you guys win them over eventually.
Yeah, certainly. Most of the feedback we get is people walk in and kind of say, "What the hell is going on here?" Just if you've seen photos, our wardrobe, our performance is very energetic, lots of movement, lots of sparkle and spandex and whatnot. So I think at first people are confused. They think it might be some novelty act or cover band, but it's kind of this, what is going on? It's weird, but I like it. And usually within a song, or we've heard people too say, yeah, I loved them, but I didn't recognize any of the songs. And we're like, well, yeah, we certainly get off on that feedback, but most people aren't sure where to put us. And I think a lot of people too have never been to a Kiss show or a Cinderella show or Motley Crue. So we want to give people a taste of the big rock of old that has somewhat fizzled out, but a lot of those big bands are back now in full force selling out arenas.
And because you are a self-proclaimed glam band, I would imagine people don't understand how much work goes into that beyond just the music part of it, portraying a look and a feel and giving that aesthetic. So talk about how much time you guys think about the music and the performance and how you work on your image.
Most of the focus, and especially originally, went into the music, and more so that we really loved the genre, the guitar-centric riff rock,
Right.
and big harmonies and gang vocals and that sort of thing. So it really started there, and even our first show, we just kind of dressed all in white, and it was kind of similar to, Queen, which became glam, started, they just wore black and then they wore white and then they started adding, and it took them a couple of years to put their show together. It kind of was organic, and over time, the choreography as well, adding. So, but yeah, we do want people to show up and see something they've never seen before. We don't want to be, there's a lot of bands out there, a lot of super talented people, but we're seeing, what frustrated us was a lot of kind of live rehearsals or just replicating the album. So yeah, we put a lot into the look too, because we want to have that full assault of the senses, just like Bon Jovi and Leopard had back then.
You guys just recorded your first album. What did you learn from that experience that you're going to apply to future experiences?
Man, so many things. We had the pleasure of working with Steve Avedis at Colorado Sound, which is right up there in Westminster. When you're in the studio, it's such an emotional thing because you need to replicate your energy and your emotion, but you also have to sing it perfectly and have all the right mechanics and sort of thing. So I found it, and I know a lot of singers especially, but all players come in there, and it's this, when you write the song and you write it from the raw energy and playing it right, but then when you play live, it's not that it's sloppy, it's just a little more raw. So the difficult part was, right, you go in and you rip it like you would live, and then the producer's like, well, but you're a little here and this could be a little more polished. So you go back in, and then he's like, oh, you're in your head. You're not giving me the emotion that you had. So you're back and forth. And so that was really good practice and learning for me, that you need to do, there needs to be a good, healthy blend of both. And you have to practice staying in character and also not kind of throwing your mechanics out the window.
As far as the songwriting goes too, are you someone who writes a lot of lyrics and then takes it to the band and you guys develop the sound, or does it start with the sound, or is there a combination? How do you approach the songwriting process? I know you just mentioned with Valentine that you were working it out on the piano and you brought it to the band and the band then created the sound from that. But is that a typical process for you, or was that just something unique?
That one specifically was unique because we're just kind of a guitar rock project. So Rob, or AKA Creighton Huntley, he's taken a step back recently from performing live, but we've done all the writing for the project. And We've tackled it a lot of different ways. You know, we when we started the band, which was actually, you know, we had taken an edible at a Muse concert, and we were out hanging out by the beer garden. We, you know, Rob had come up with the idea, the title of our first single, "Slow Release," and that turned into, oh man, I've got all these riffs. I think this riff would go with it, right? Was like, yeah, we need like that big rock sound, and that's how we came up with the name Big Rock Radio. And then Rob singing into his phone, and then we do this crowd shout, "Big Rock," you know, like Thunderstruck on AC/DC. So it's really been organic, you know, a lot of song titles, a lot of riffs, maybe some melodies here and there, some ideas for big drum, you know, explosions. So it's kind of fun when we go into the war room. You know, we've got all these things to choose from, and we just kind of cherry pick, and like this doesn't fit, but what about if we put that with this? Nice. So, you know, this is the first time writing with Rob, and so it took us a good year and a half to put together this catalog, and we start writing here, getting together here in a few weeks, and we've both got, you know, 50 to 100 just ideas that we're going to just be grabbing from. So I'm excited because we have such chemistry writing together that we'll be kind of, doing all the approaches this time, and it's much more fun now that we're in a rhythm.
Because of who you are as a band in the genre that you represent, are you looking at that trope and saying, okay, so we need to have a sing-along song, we need to have a ballad, or are you just going with the best songs you can put out there, and if it happens to work within that, it works? If not, I mean, do you think about that at all?
I think we definitely didn't want to be a one-trick pony. So, you know, we probably wrote 12 to 14 songs, recorded, released 9. Yeah, not so much a consideration. We just really wrote what we wanted to write, and we'd, you know, let's just say our song "High Time." We're like, well, we took a little from the Stones, we took a little bit from Hendrix, a little bit from, you know, Chuck Berry, you know, and that's our 3 to 5 artist type song, right? So we did it more on that and what was inspiring us rather than trying to fit the mold. You know, Freddie Mercury is one of my all-time favorites, and he always said people were upset that they just couldn't put him in a box. They couldn't place him. And so a lot of people, you know, we're glam rock. We've got some pop flavor to us, but we're not Bowie. We've got some heavier stuff, but we're not Kiss, and we're not a hair band where we're all hairspray and dressed in black. So yeah, but as far as writing, we're kind of going into it with a real open mind, because I think when we put too many restrictions or we have to be this, that seems to rob the creative process.
I'm wondering what you love about being indie.
Of course, we have total control about what we do, and especially when it comes to the songwriting, the creative process. Like you said, if they were telling us you need, you know, 3 hard rockers, fast tempo, 1 ballad, and 5 mid tempo, that would disrupt our whole process.
Sure.
So we love being in control of that, choosing who we worked with, like Steve Avedis at Colorado Sound. And I know labels can get involved in all sorts of stuff. So But of course, we're always looking ahead to a label, and you know, the not fun part of being indie is the paying for everything and doing everything, all that sort of thing, doing 16 things at the same time. So we would love to build to the right fit with a label to take some more of that off our plate, understands our vision, and because I felt Michael, out of so many people, really did hear us. He really did listen to us and understand where we're coming from, what we want. That, yeah, of course, we'd love to do the hotels and caviar and rock the arenas around. So, but for now, we're loving being indie and being able to experiment and try some silly things and not really have to answer to anyone.
You think you're at the right place at the right time right now, and do you think that there will be a resurgence in the rock genre?
That's a great question. One we talk about quite a bit. Well, a couple of things going on. We're feeling the pendulum swing back from all the electronic stuff to something raw and real. But I just was listening to a podcast, but it was talking about how, like any genre, we had great music, let's just say in any decade, call it, 80s, right? But then by the end of the 80s, everyone was calling them hair bands as more of like an insult, right?
Yeah.
They are just fitting the mold. Hey, if they can't play, we'll get people to play for them. We just want the look and everything. It got so formulaic. But and then he was talking about how into the 90s, well, Pearl Jam and Nirvana were the hits of grunge, but by the end of the 90s, again, we had the same reduction to the formula. And so I think that cycles seems to cycle just about every decade, and now EDM's hitting that too, right? It's the big drop. And so yeah, just like Greta with Steel Panther, Darkness, I do think it's right time, right place, because we're not, all of them aren't fitting the mold, right? Steel Panther is going above and beyond. Darkness is a good blend with some modern, and same with Greta. So we think we're bringing something old back, right? But there's certainly that new flavor to it.
One, two.